Someone else asked, will snakes eat your chicken eggs? They sure will. But so far as we can tell, up to this point, snakes have not eaten our chicken eggs, believe it or not. We've gotten lots of questions about snakes. I don't know that I have any on my phone right now, but in general, we had a professional snake removal company come out and they set their traps and they gathered up some snakes and they fixed some areas and they told us what to watch for, but all the snakes that we had were garter snakes. They eat any bad or poisonous snakes. In Virginia, there's copperheads and rattlesnakes would be the two that would be poisonous, but these here were heavy garter snakes, and I welcome those, just not in the roof, but those are gone now. Yeah. And the guinea hens, that's one of the reasons why Red guinea hens this summer, they will take down a 6-foot long black snake. I mean, they help with outdoor pest control, so that's why we're getting those. Will you butcher your own pigs? I feel like one day that could be a possibility. This summer, no. What are your plans for the winter months for your animals? Well, they'll have extra straw. We'll have hay storage and hay available. And even with our chickens, they can still go out in the winter. It's not for as long. Just like us, we still go out in the winter. It's not very long though. For your ducks and other waterfowl, will you have a pond or other water access for them? So at first I thought we couldn't have ducks because we don't have a pond here. We had a big pond at our farmhouse. I thought that just automatically took it off. But then I have a family member who actually, they raise ducks in the city. They have a couple, but they have a little pool and a filter system set up and they eat duck eggs and they're in the city. Then I have other friends I started talking to who are raising ducks and they have a variety of pools and water tanks and things. So when I mention that to folks online, they will then say, you know, well, they're really messy and it's just going to be a mess all the time. I hear that. I'm going to try it though. I know I can do 50 hens, especially given a good coop and a run-in area and accessibility to free range. I'm good with chickens. I've learned about turkeys. With ducks, I know they like to dunk their head in water. They like to get their food wet. There are people that raise ducks and chickens together, like in the same coop and such, and that's an option. I just thought we'll give them their own duck house, we'll give them their own yard, we'll give them their own pools of water, we'll dump them every day, we'll put new water in, we'll see how it goes. I don't know all the answers right now, but we're giving it a go and we're gonna learn. But with the folks I've talked to who do not have a pond, they have still raised ducks successfully. So why can't I? I don't know, why not? So we're gonna give it a go. Do you worry about losing all your grass/pasture with all your animals? No, I would like for our land to be used. Again, going back to our forest house, it was about 13 acres and I felt like we couldn't use it all. You know, we had a certain area around the house where the kids could play, but really it felt like we had less space than when we had our 2 acres at our farmhouse. Our 2 acres at our farmhouse, our kids could run and roam and have a good old time, and then they had their tire swing tree and a little stream right by the house where they played at most often. At the forest house, we really just had a perimeter right around the house, and then when we went into the woods and such, we had to have the dogs with us, and I was there, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of free play. Or like in my videos when I would say the kids would be playing outside, well then Travis would be there with them. So I feel like we have more land, and I mean the kids really can run all over this 7 acres and play and explore and have a great time, and we're surrounded by farmland. We are still going to have a whole dedicated, that's probably another acre or so on the one side of the house where the playhouse is that we're not using currently. We're going to make some repairs to, but there's a playhouse there, the trampoline, the pool is going there, the bikes are there, picnic tables there. Then you come around to the back of the house, you got the big garden, you'll have the brooder house. Come down the hill, we got a big goat fencing area, then a big area with nothing. Then back here behind me, we're gonna have the chicken coop and the duck house and their fenced yards. Then I've got probably half an acre here in this little section I'm looking at before you get up to the driveway. Then we got a couple acres of woods here. Then we go around the side and down to the front of the property and on the other side of our driveway. So I feel like there's a lot of room here. Now I don't want a cow all the way up to the door. We looked at this one house and it was set up as a homestead already, and they pretty much had room to get in the front door, and the rest of it was a lot of divided areas. I'm trying to remember how many acres that was. Maybe it was only 5. So for me, that's not what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning coming up the driveway, having our kid area, having our house area, and then having all this other land around it that is fenced off and has buildings and has animals and our accessibility to it all. With that one particular house, I just remember thinking, I don't want our cow, like the fence to end and then there be a driveway, a short sidewalk, and the front door. There's plenty of room over here for that. So that's where, again, choose your own adventure. This is how we're setting it up. Another mama asked, what time do you go to sleep and what time do you wake up on a normal day? I think naturally I'm geared like an 11 to 7 type sleeper. I do have nights I get to bed earlier and I still sleep in. I certainly have nights where I may not go to bed until 12 or 1. I know, big like shocker. Last night I think I was probably in bed about 11:30. I had worked a few hours getting some things set up and new things up in the Large Family Table community membership, and then I went to bed, and then this morning probably didn't get up until a little after 8, but it's Saturday. And again, in Choose Your Own Adventure, Travis had gone to get that stump grinder and they've just been working the day away. And I have been sitting here for a very long time answering these questions and chatting homestead plans. As much as I would like to, I don't go to bed any earlier than 10. And so hitting that 11 to 7 is the most natural rhythm. Have you set up a chore chart so you have help with all the new animals? No. Again, not a chore chart mama. In the morning, kids are rushing to get it done. Then I go out and milk the goat and check in on everything. And then in the evening, I'm usually calling out different ones to do different tasks. Someone else asked, somewhat related, how do you introduce your baby chicks to your mama chickens? I hadn't read anything about it. This was my first experience introducing young pullets to my already laying hens. So the young pullets were already out in, we have this portable netting. They were already out in that yard probably for about 2 weeks. They were in the cage for a week, and then we would let them out a lot during the day in the yard, and the mama chickens would come up to the yard and look in the yard, and I guess they were talking and getting to know each other. Then it got to the point where the younger ones realized, oh, we can go out of this netting. So we had several days where they just went in and out of the netting all day during the day as they wanted. They still saw that outdoor cage and that netting as their home because, again, their food and water were there. And then it might be 3 or so weeks ago now, we just had an evening where it felt right. I felt like the mama chickens and the younger chickens had been free ranging during the day a lot together. So I said, okay, let's gather up all the young ones. We're gonna put them in the coop tonight, see how everything works out. And it worked out. They all made it. They did great. It probably was about 3 nights that we would have to gather the young ones up at bedtime when the mama chickens were already going in the coop, gather the young ones up, put them in there, shut the door. But now they all go in. We don't have to gather any of them up. Even the turkeys. It went that way with the turkeys as well. And actually, I did the turkeys at the same time. Where did you learn how to care for all the different animals? So my very first memories as a child, I mean Benjamin's age and younger, was walking to the barn with my mom. We walked to the barn every morning and again every evening. My dad built my mom her big dream barn for all her Arabian horses. My childhood memories are my mom and I sleeping in a stall at night. We had a cot set up and a refrigerator to sleep and wait for the mama horses to have their babies. And so I did grow up around farm life. Can you compost, or can it just be out on the ground, or does it need a container? Again, my mom, Jamerrill's mom. A lot of her manure from her barn goes out into a pile and it ages, and then later she uses it on different things. She doesn't put it on there when it's fresh. I have read about composting. I've never really purposely done composting, other than I have gotten horse manure from my flower beds and my gardens from other farms whenever my mom wasn't local anymore as well. And even when we lived down near the beach, when I would come back here to the valley to visit my mom, I would fill trash bags full of dry old manure to take back to my gardens and get that manure on there. So I know that stuff is gold. So what I'm doing now, I've read about composting and the different bins, and I've just decided, again, I'm not making anything too difficult. I have the beginnings of a compost heap. I cleaned out the goat building earlier this week and I just started putting it in a pile. We already had a small pile of dirt there. I've been breaking down boxes and doing layers of boxes and then layers of the goat bedding. A lot of the food scraps, even the vegetable scraps, go to the chickens, but I have switched to my older coffee maker, so I've been putting my coffee grinds on my compost. And then you gotta spray it down with some water. It's gonna get to the point where it stinks, and then later at some point it's gonna be good fresh dirt. I feel like it won't be until if we till the garden again in the fall or in the spring, and I might even end up with a couple different piles over there. I grew up around a lot of large animal manure, so again, I'm not scared. How did you start thinking of all these plans? Past experiences, blogs, vlogs, books. So a lot of these plans have been in my head. Again, growing up on a farm. Does everyone now know that Jamerrill grew up on a farm? I mean, I had other adventures. You can watch my assumptions video. We raised ducks, so I remember having clothes baskets full of baby ducks on the deck. I also remember having a duck house. And there was a time, so we got Farm Girl Stories with Jamerrill, that a fox or something got in, graphic about what I'm about to say, okay? Sliced the duck's head, okay? Because my mom is an adventure mama too, and I remember being, I don't think I was 3, holding that duck's neck closed, and my mom sewing it closed with needle and thread, and that duck lived, and we had it for quite a while. So those adventures are ingrained in me. Again, that's where I go back to. If I see people doing things, then I know it's possible. I'm not scared. And I don't say that pridefully, but I have some ingrained experiences and enough tenacity in me that when I get something in my gut, if God's grace is there to do it, you know, God's grace is when there's something in life that is hard. It could be hard for someone else, but if God's grace is on you to do it, you will have the strength, power, and ability to do it, and to do it well. And so the things that I do in my life is where I feel God's grace. I feel God's grace to homestead. It is like oozing off of me. I feel God's grace to homeschool. I feel God's grace to do this business that He has given me to do. I cannot tell you how many times, and yes, you get me talking, I'm gonna talk about business again, 15th time, Jamerrill. I cannot tell you how many times I have said, Lord, take this. I can't do it. If anything's gonna happen with it at all, you're gonna have to do it because I cannot do this thing. And then there's some extra grace applied, some situations work out. It's like a constant surrender. Here you go, Lord. I have done all I think I can possibly do. And then you know what? God shows up, He helps me, He works other stuff out that I didn't even have planned. And so that's how I'm taking homesteading. I'm in it with Him. I can't imagine doing anything. I mean, even just staying married. You know, you gotta have God's grace guiding you through. You have to be doing things that the Lord has called you to. I have a thread of farming and homesteading through my whole life. So back to the how did I start and the plans and the experiences. It's just in here somewhere. That's not saying that you have to have my experiences and my heritage and family history. If homesteading is your dream, if building an online business is your dream, whatever is in your heart, the Lord can equip you to do it. How many hours do you spend in the garden and with the animals? The goats are like dogs. They're calling to us. They're calling out. The kids put the goats on leashes, take them up to their fort with them, walk them around the yard. They can be over at the playhouse. There can be several goats over with them. The chickens and the turkeys are out and about. The rabbits are in the hutch, but the kids still hold them. The meat birds are now in a little outside area, and the garden comes in spurts. So that's where we are right now with it. Someone else asked, can you start a garden with the seeds that are in the plants, like watermelons, tomatoes, and peppers? So a lot of things, and again, I'm not an expert, but a lot of things have been modified. A lot of the fruits and vegetables we buy at the store won't necessarily grow the same plants that you can put out in your garden. If you want to grow plants and harvest the seeds, you need to get the heirloom seeds. Again, my friends at Seeds for Generations, that's their specialty. They do heirloom seeds. My gardener also does heirloom seeds, but I think he is sold out, but I'm not for sure. Check in there. And so I'm in a little bit of a jam up because Years past when I've done big gardens, again, I went to the greenhouse, I got what I needed, or I got plants at Walmart. Even when we lived down near the beach, I mean, I got my tomato plants at the Walmart, right? So I got my seeds at Walmart and such, which they're gonna grow fruits and vegetables this year. And then I've learned more about heirloom seeds, and then I got my heirloom seeds. So I was talking to Shannon with Seeds for Generations, and there very well can be an issue with some plants. If I'm growing a hybrid vegetable and if I have heirloom seeds, there can be cross-pollination issues. I may not be able to save my seeds. So I'm thinking now, I have my heirloom seeds and I have all these other plants I started for seeds that were hybrids, which again, the hybrids, I'm not gonna be able to save the seeds from those tomatoes and such and grow them again. But I don't even know that I was gonna harvest and save seeds this year. I mean, I might. So I'm at a crossroads with that. Couple options. I'm sure I could just put those on Facebook and bless someone else with them and they can grow food this summer. I've also thought, put those in my garden, do my hybrid seeds, just grow a garden this summer, and then next year try to do just heirloom seeds and save my seeds. The jury is out as I sit here on this log this evening. I'm not sure which way I will go with it, and I'm not sure by the time this video comes out, you know, which way I will go with it. You can obviously let me know your thoughts. But again, I've got my tomatoes that I started are growing, my cucumbers. I must not have started peppers. I didn't have any peppers in there, but I have heirloom peppers. I also have another local friend with a greenhouse, and she sells heirloom plants and such. And so I thought, well, I could also get some peppers from her. Need to get this figured out. I will be figuring it out. Probably about the time this video comes out, I will be getting stuff in the garden and figuring it out. So don't let that discourage you though, as I'm here talking about hybrid seeds and heirloom seeds. Again, all my other gardens, I never thought a thing about it, and it grew a lot of food. And that's again where I'm like, okay, this summer we might just be growing a lot of food with all kinds of different seeds. See, I'm talking myself into it now. And then next summer I could have the goal, because even folks have told me to watch the Back to Eden gardening and have told me about the Ruth Stout method. Also, that's the lady that she gardened into her 90s. I think I've got her book in my Amazon cart. She loved lazy gardening. She threw potatoes on the ground. She just covered it with hay. People have grown garlic and onions that way. Actually, a lot of different plants. I'm gonna learn, right? And you're gonna learn. So that's why I did a bunch of potatoes that way. The potatoes were cut, they had eyes, covered them in hay. But it's not a complete Ruth Stout garden. The Back to Eden garden, I have not watched the documentary yet. I have thought we should watch that documentary as a family. Tim and Dana Schmoyer, I'm pretty sure their big garden they're doing this summer is Back to Eden garden. I know Shannon and Jason with Seeds for Generations, they have huge gardens and it is all with that method. So again, I'll get there, but that doesn't mean I can't have a garden. And that doesn't mean I can't grow food. And again, with those trellises, girlfriend on Roots and Refuge has the trellises figured out. Some ladies would feel stifled that they couldn't even garden if they were not experts on trellises and if they didn't know all about Back to Eden gardening. And I'm saying, just get stuff in the ground and start figuring it out. So how I'm gardening, now that we are at, people have asked, what are you gonna call this house? We had the farmhouse, we had the forest house, calling this the forever house. So now that we're at this forever house, I want to be gardening a nice long time here. And I'm sure how I'm gardening when I'm 50 will be different than how I'm gardening when I'm 40. And that's okay. It's the journey, right? And so if I get too deep in the researching and such, I just feel stifled. I'm sure it's a personality thing. I just like to get in there and experience it and figure things out. And so even going back to this lady, how many hours a day for the garden and the animals, and I said the garden's sporadic, I probably had the last 3 days when I should have been working on my unpacking in the afternoons and the evenings. My soul, I've just wanted to be in that garden. And so I've been out there doing things in the garden. And even now, like, I want to get in the garden. And that's where I was having that thought yesterday. I have always found lots of enjoyment gardening, even though it's been mostly flower gardening. With all the animals, would you still be able to go on family trips and vacations? So we have thought about that. The wonderful thing is, you're just thinking, Jamerrill has the best friends, and we do have a lot of great local resources. I have friends that for a fee, when folks go on vacation, one family's going on vacation, they need their cow milk still. There are people in our area that you can pay, and they will feed your animals and water your animals and milk your goat and milk your cow. Of course, it's all part of the fee. Just like summer before last when we went to New York City and the Creation Museum and Busch Gardens and did a big like 2-week vacation tour, we had to work into the expense of that vacation to have 2 huge dogs in the kennel for 2 weeks. That was just part of the expense of going. So whenever we travel, now we won't have the expense. This is what I thought of it before. We won't have the expense of the dogs in the kennel. Since we're in a convenient location now, we can have some folks come and take care of the whole place. And I can think of at least 2 families quickly off the top of my head who would do it, and it would probably cost me about the same amount as it costs to have the dogs in the kennel for 2 weeks. How much land do you think one needs to start a small homestead? Again, I know folks with some beautiful homesteads, 2 acres or less. I don't think you need a ton of land to do it. Obviously, as much land as your budget will allow is great, but there are folks, I have been to their homesteads and I have seen it. 2 acres and less. Do your kiddos enjoy the farm lifestyle? I know my kids would, but wouldn't want to do the work. LOL. Yeah, I get that. So again, our kids love it, a couple months in, and our kids, some of their greatest memories are being on my mom's farm and doing all the farm stuff with her. So they are excited about the other animals that are coming. They are loving the animals that we have. They're excited for the whole process, and I think it's great for them. Someone else said, I'm sure you'll get this 100 times over. What has been your startup cost and your maintenance cost? So the thing that we have spent the most money on is the goats. Goats are expensive, and registered dairy goats are expensive. I have looked at prices and price ranges across the country. You can get a registered dairy goat $400, $750 or more, just depending on the lines. And then even the unregistered goats can go for several $100. I mean, you could pay $200, $250 for an unregistered goat. So the way that my goat prices went is I got mama and baby goat, not registered. They are Nigerian dwarf and pygmy goat cross, but heavy on the Nigerian dwarf. They were $350, and that was for a mama in milk and her doeling. And then I got Jazzy, my registered dairy goat, gallon-a-day milker, and I knew she was teaching me things. She was $400. Then I got Carmen and Midnight. Carmen is actually Jazzy's daughter. She's a La Mancha doeling. She's probably 9 weeks old now. And Midnight, who's gonna be our La Mancha buck, who's not related to Carmen or Jazzy. And Jazzy's a registered La Mancha dairy goat. Carmen is a registered La Mancha dairy goat, and Midnight is a registered La Mancha dairy goat. So because I had bought Jazzy from her, and then I bought Carmen, and I bought Midnight. Thinking through on my prices here, I paid $350 for Carmen, and I paid $250 for Midnight. So that was another $600. Then for the 2 Nigerian dwarf boys, one will be banded this week. The other one will be our Nigerian dwarf buck. Again, both of those are unregistered. It was $250 for both of them, so $125 each. Folks do milk the Nigerian dwarf goats. I think I've read you get about 11 gallons a month. Fantastic YouTube channel to watch all about the Nigerian dwarf is over on Weed'em and Reap, and her blog is really good too. Has a lot of really good info. I've read her blog a whole lot, all about goats, and even she had some sheep information about raising sheep for meat on there and such. So anyway, all of that added together is about $1,300. Now, the supplies, so we'll add it up. The supplies to build their building is an 8x10. I got some of that on sale. That was $250. Okay, so it was 5 rolls of fencing, and the fencing was $75 a roll. That didn't include the stakes. Then the stakes that go in the ground, I want to say it was like $75 for a big bundle. So $375 just for the fencing roll, plus the stakes, $450 plus the building, $250, plus that's $700. and then up to $1,300 for my goats there. So it's $2,000 to get started with goats. There you have it. And see, so that's part of the startup cost that we are doing. Again, no vacation. We bought an old house in a good location that we're going to slowly go through, and our project focus have switched from focusing on house projects to focusing on outside projects. So I will have that building and that fencing for years. Also, we recently did the fencing for their breeding paddock, so probably another $200, all things included. We bought the things for 2 more buildings. One is going to be a family trash building to hold the trash before Travis can take it to our county spot, and then a building for our males, and so I think that was another $450. My chicken coop behind me, the supplies for that was $250, so we're at $2,900. And we have not bought the stuff for the fencing. Those dog kennel panels are expensive and they add up quick, and we still have to buy the other building. But I'm trying to focus on things we've already done. I think our rabbits were, I'll say, $120. The chickens that I've bought, a lot of those chickens were half off at Tractor Supply. I know there's been a run on chickens, but a lot of them, and even the turkeys, were half off. That's what prompted me to get the turkeys, because I'm like, I can't just let half off turkeys sit here. Okay, so $57 to get going on the extra chickens. The zip tie dome was about $350. The fence for the garden and having the garden plowed. So having the garden plowed was $220. The plastic barrier and the drip irrigation system, I've never had that before. I've just had a garden tilled and stuck my plants in the ground out in the back field. I don't know that I'll need that every year. I may love it, or I may feel like, I don't know, I don't need to do this. But anyway, so that was $250, and then the fencing for that, I'm gonna say was $250, rounding up some here. So we're at $38.97 right now. Okay, our sheep are $550 to get started. I was gonna say around $5,000 to jump in and bust through all that we've done. Well, let me look at my board. What else am I missing? Oh, my beehive. So I spent $150 on that hive. I had to give it to a friend. I spent $270 on the equipment that then they just refunded me the money for. For the meat birds, I spent about $150. That one hatchery, I should have the $150 refunded within 10 days or so. To get the Freedom Rangers from Whelp, they were a little more. I still think they were less than $3 a bird. It was around $97. Okay, my goat supplies. So my goat milk stand was about $220. Several ladies have wrote in and asked where I got the goat milk stand. I looked on eBay, I looked on Amazon. You can find goat milk stands there, but there ended up being one on Valley Vet. It came quick and it has worked great. My steel bucket, I think, was 30-ish. My filter, I'll say, was 25. For my canning, so my All-American canner, I'm pretty sure was close to 300. And then I bought 2 more of those Presto canners, but they were like $78. The hutch that my rabbits are in currently was $120. I'm not adding in things I haven't bought yet, but the next hutch that's bigger, like for raising multiple moms and babies and such, I think it's like $170. My brooding supplies, I had a lot of that. I had heat lamps. I have since ordered, they're like brooding plates, they're warmers, there's less risk of fire and stuff. Those were on Amazon for $35 a piece. I got 2 of those. My meat bird processing equipment. So my chicken plucker, I mean, that's a big investment thing. That was about I'm gonna say $450. The bags were like $30. The shrink wrap bags. The ducks, the geese, and the guinea hens, they were like $47 roughly. I think I got it all, guys. Pretty much. So we're at about $6,000. Not cheap. Definitely during another season of life, that would have been done over several years. Adding 1 animal or 1 project a year. Like I said, the biggest thing is I had money saved to buy nice living room furniture, to get some nice big couches, probably get a big TV. I was gonna do more stuff in the house, and I've just decided we're doing more stuff outside right now. Also note, we don't have car payments or credit card bills. And I'm also looking at, I don't know that we will ever be 100% self-sufficient, but I feel like a lot of these things that we're investing in now is buying future food for our family. I know that with the monthly animal feed and maintenance and vet care, I mean, I spend $1,000 to $1,500 a month for food and household items for our family of up to 10, now 9. That was one of my goals in growing an accidental online business, was to be able to expand my grocery budget. So even if it ends up being that if we can look back over the year and okay, we spent $15,000 on the homestead this year, but maybe we only spend $3,000 at the actual store. We'd actually be spending a couple thousand more, but having the joy and the experience of providing most of our food from home. Now, I know families from all kinds of different budget ranges, and they raise all their food and have their animals and have their gardens, and they don't spend anywhere near half that. And many of them have larger families. And so I don't know that it's going to take that much. I do know that there's more cost involved in the setup. And I know that there will be a few $1,000s more spent, I'm sure, between buying one other building and doing that fencing. Those 2 big run areas, that could be $1,000. I could be off my rocker. Travis is probably talking to this video and telling us. But again, those dog panels and the fencing, when you get into buying wire and metal and all these things, those add up. And I did not include the cost of my seeds. So I probably spent about $120 on heirloom seeds. And then I probably spent another good $100 on Walmart and Lowe's hybrid type seeds. But by October, we should have hopefully 50 to 75 birds that we have raised in our freezer. We should have rabbit in our freezer and turkeys and some ducks, maybe a goose. We have our gallon a day of goat milk. I will be canning lots of things. We're growing lots of things. So again, I just go back to feeling like it's future groceries that we're setting up and we're raising. I'm not planning to save money by doing any of this. I feel like we will be taking that same budget and swinging it to running the homestead. Amy was reading the other night, you know, that homesteading isn't cheap, and a lot of folks who homestead still work full-time jobs and run their homesteads. And that homesteading is a passion and a hobby and a necessity and a lifestyle that people choose to live. So we will see how it works out for us, how it goes as we walk it out. I didn't move in here thinking I'd want to use a wood stove, and now I'm thinking, let's go ahead and put a wood stove in that basement, and that's not included in those numbers. So all of this is definitely cost and money. It would cost a whole lot more if we were hiring folks to come out, but Travis leads and does this work, so that's a lot right there. Do you worry about security in case any of the food shortage situations and people breaking in and, you know, just home security? So we have a home security system. We have 2 big guard dogs and other security measures in place, so I'm not worried about it. Does this feel like a panicked reaction to the world situation, or kind of a dream/plan from the beginning? I think the current situation, again, in this world, to us just appeared to be an opportunity to do these things we've toyed with for a while. How cold does it get in the winter, and does this affect how you will keep your goats and chickens? So I know last winter I threw extra hay in their barn. They were just fine. There were days they didn't come out of their coop much, but then there were many days, even in the cold winter, where they'd come out maybe a half hour or so and go back in. They were like, okay, we're done. Someone else says, please no, I really love your family. I'm just struggling with the homestead of animals. And then this same person goes on to say, do you think about how scared and painful these animals' deaths will be? I heard someone explain homesteading this way, because on Instagram there's been a lot, like if I share a picture of the rabbits, there were a lot of comments there, is that the animals live a really good life and they have one bad day, and they can still be butchered humanely, and it's still a responsibility to do it right. And so all of the animal raising, butchering, etc., I'm really looking at Polyface Farm a lot and all of Joel's resources. I mean, if you want to know how to raise meat birds, how to butcher properly, look to Joel and Polyface. They'll show you how. What are the geese and guinea fowl for? So the guineas are going to be, although I've heard they're good eating, they are going to be for tick control, for snake control, for security. The geese are for a level of security too. I've also heard that geese and guineas and even ducks are great in a garden because they will eat bugs and not plants. We'll see. But I also plan to have them available for meat. How difficult / time intensive has it been adding goats to the mix? I think we're in our routines now. We're good. How are you going to handle the homestead once your commitments return? Well, again, choose your own adventure. We make our rules. That's why we've moved to our current location. We are now closely accessible to the things we want to be closely accessible to. And I know we've got several months ahead to continue focusing in on our setup. And I know, like, again, the bigger animals, the cows and the pigs, that's why I'm thinking those will be next summer's projects, that we'll get these done this summer, we'll maintain it through the fall and winter and into the spring, and then next year we'll have these other big projects going on. How do you factor in fees for the veterinarian for all the animals? Well, we do a cash-based budget. We largely follow Dave Ramsey. Although we are not perfect people, that is our goal in life, and we don't have car payments or credit cards, I'll say it again, so those fees will just be part of our budget. Do you think this will be the last home you and Travis purchase? I do. I think this is it. I think that we are home. Who will be the one to kill the meat animals? That will be me. Yep, Mama can do it. What is your driving motivation to have a full homestead? I definitely felt like when things went wonky with the world, that I was like, Jamerrill, you're on this land in the country. You should have your homestead set up. You should have a food room in the basement with all the canned goods that you grew in the garden. You should be as self-sufficient as possible. So again, the world can turn right side up anytime it wants to, but I feel like it's a good use of our time right now to get a homestead going. Why did you go for the hand pump thingy for the well and not a whole house generator? Just had never, again, thank you for that question. I don't know, Travis, why didn't we do that? Because the hand pump thing for the well is something that requires absolutely no fuel. Pretty sure for a whole house generator, you still have to have a fuel source, which is great. And sure, we should get one. We should add that to our list. But the hand pump for the well requires absolutely no other fuel, and you still have water. So that means animals have water, we have water, garden has water. Someone else says, I want to do this so badly, so many questions. How did you find out about zoning? So we're already rated for agriculture. Again, we already live in a farming community, so we know our local zoning. We have cows behind us. We have a hay field here. This is where we live. If you're questioning your zoning, then you can call your county or city office. Recommendations for good historical fiction for adults. We can just talk about all the things. So all the books by Tricia Goyer. Tricia writes amazing historical fiction. Do you have an end goal or a vision for what you want to have and plant? Yes, I think my end goal by next summer would be that we also have a barn building and we have some cows and we're doing the pig thing, as well as maintaining everything we get up this summer. Again, gonna need a barn building. Travis is gonna need a shop. Gonna make sure I do all heirloom seeds next summer. We'll see how it goes. Like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, I think I just got through all those questions, and I think I have sat here and filmed and chatted for 4 hours. You've been here too with the stump grinding and all this work going on behind me. So now I'm gonna go in and work on dinner. I hope that was helpful. I enjoyed writing this out on the board and chatting with you. I will definitely be doing more videos with garden updates and homestead updates and such. I don't want to discourage you whenever I talk about cost and setup cost. I chose to have 7 goats. You know, really, if I was focusing on one dairy goat, all I would have needed was Jazzy. But I'm thinking long term, no, we love goats, kids love goats, let's do goats. We also could have bought a more expensive property. We even found ourselves looking at big fancy show houses in neighborhoods, but we just knew that our family needed room to run, and we knew we wanted to be able to do big gardens and animals on whatever scale. And we bought a house that's definitely a fixer-upper, and it's just going to be a journey to do the things that we want to do. So Cliff Notes is we're getting abbreviated school done, either focused in the morning or focused in the afternoons, but more in the mornings right now. Projects are happening afternoons into the evenings. Work time, I have a lot of folks who work for me. I have days where I might film, but I'm not on my computer doing any behind the scenes computer work. A lot of that piles up on my to-do list, and then I will take a work day. Not even every week, it's more like every other Saturday right now. I will take a focus work day to plow through my list, and Travis is heading up and manning a lot of these projects. And this is what we're gonna be sitting here doing all summer, is rolling through these projects, getting stuff done, getting our sudden homestead set up, having a lot of fun and learning stuff along the way. So thank you for following along and watching my video and chatting with me. I know lots of you ladies say you like to put on the videos while you're doing your laundry or doing your dishes, so I'm sure this has been a long one. Thank you for submitting all these questions. Again, hope it all came out right, but you just never know. There you go, that's YouTube for you. I'll talk to you real soon with another brand new video. Bye-bye.